What is up, people? And welcome to the first episode in this December Open prep series. So, across these next 8 weeks, I'm going to be prepping for my next powerlifting competition, which is going to be the IPF December Open, which is going to be held in Tipperary, of all places. I don't think I've ever actually been to Tipperary purposely, so it's going to be interesting. But this is also going to be my first competition in Ireland on an IPF platform in 2 years. Last time I competed in the IPF, it was for Nationals 2022, as well as it was in the under 93 kilo weight class. So this time I'm going to be competing as an under 105, and that decision has been made because I don't want to have to cut into the weight class this time. The last two IPF competitions that I did, I was on the border of the 93 kilo weight class, and it just made the most sense to just cut into that weight class because at the time I was being relatively competitive there, right? So when I did Nationals in 2022, I came 5th. The competition I did before that, I came 2nd. But now the field has advanced substantially, right? The under 93 kilo weight class is incredibly competitive at the moment in Ireland. For reference, when I qualified for Nationals, the qualifying total was 665, whereas this year it's been 700, which is what I totaled in 2022. Then we look at the under 105 weight class, right? I know I'm not going to be competing with the top guys in the under 105 weight class, right? So with that, my goals have shifted from being competitive in the weight class to being the most competitive and strong version of myself that I can be. And what that means for me is just trying to fill out the weight class a little bit more. So at the moment, I'm sitting around the 96 kilo weight range, right? If I wanted to cut into the 93 kilo weight class, that does mean that with the 2-hour weigh-in, I would have to push quite hard during that week, as well as I kind of limit myself in regards to growth across these next 8 weeks when it does come to my nutrition. So competing as a 105, I'm unlikely to be coming close to that weight cap, but I am also going to give myself a lot of freedom when it does come to my nutrition across these 8 weeks and come in as my strongest self, because I haven't competed in a long time without doing some type of wake up coming into competition, and I want to see what it feels like to come into a competition without having any kind of barriers around my nutrition or anything that I have to do extra with my nutrition other than just fuel appropriately for training, fuel appropriately for recovery, and come into the competition feeling well fed and as strong as possible. Because where I am at the moment within my powerlifting journey is I just want to get as strong as I possibly can. Like, I have some little kind of milestones that I want to tick off. I want to squat 275, I want to bench 175, I want to deadlift 300, and all of these little milestones I'm working towards. I don't care what weight I do these at. Realistically, I'm going to have to do it as an under 105, so I want to give myself the best opportunity to do so. So that's essentially what I'm going to be doing across these next 8 weeks for this competition, but then also for the following year. The next year, I'm probably going to do one more powerlifting competition. Now, I haven't decided whether I'm going to do that in wraps or whether I'm going to do that in knee sleeves. That is to be decided, and it's really going to be depending on how this competition goes. So I kind of set myself those goals, but also I want to try to get myself up to a national level standard again, okay? When I competed in Nationals 2022, that was a massive goal for me to get onto a Nationals platform, because I'd been trying for a number of years and I eventually did it. And when I got to that point, I made the pivot into bodybuilding. This year, I'm going to be doing something relatively similar. So I want to get myself up to a point where I'm going to meet the qualifying total for next year's Nationals. This year, the qualifying total is, I believe, 725 for under 105. I want to see if I can get that and a little bit more across this competition and the following competition. Once I have achieved that and I've come close to those number goals, which I kind of mentioned, I'm going to make a pivot. I'm going to pivot into bodybuilding. I have thought about this for a decent amount of time now, and there are a couple of reasons for it. So, powerlifting, when I've been here in Spain, just has not been as fulfilling as it has been when I was in Canada or when I was in Ireland. When I was in Canada, I had a crew, had a really good gym that I was training in, had a really good group of people that were in the gym, that were supportive, who were also incredibly strong, and it was easier for me to be excited about competing in powerlifting because I was surrounded a lot by it. Whereas in Ireland, of course, I'm training abs, and abs is an incredible environment to flourish as a trainee, and I grew a lot as a lifter there, and training in that environment where you're training with literally the best people in the country, it's only going to make you excel even further. Whereas now I'm in Spain, and like even the powerlifting gym that is here has awkward training hours, which doesn't really suit my schedule all that much. It's often quite quiet, as well as like the other gym I train in, there's like no powerlifters there, and it has been kind of a little bit more lonely, a little bit more boring to actually engage in powerlifting training. And then also I do want to compete in bodybuilding in 2026. It'll be 4 years since my last competitive bodybuilding season. Also want to ensure that when I'm going into that 2026 season, that I give myself the best opportunity to do so. And I don't currently think that actually competing in powerlifting and devoting a lot of my time towards that, especially up until the start of 2026, is going to be the best use of my time if I want to make the most of that 2026 season. 2022 was all about kind of getting on stage. 2026 is actually about like being somewhat competitive, especially if I decide to do the international shows, which if I qualify for them, I definitely will. So across this next, 6 to 8 month period from now until April at least, I'm going to be committing to powerlifting. But then after that, I'm going to make the pivot. I'm going to start doing more bodybuilding specific training. I'm going to give myself some time in an off-season setting to grow as a bodybuilder, focus on my weak points, because I've noticed that across this last year or so, since I've put more of my effort into powerlifting, that some of the weak points that I've been trying to bring up just have not grown as much as I would like them to. So to give myself the best opportunity to actually look as good as I want to in 2026, I'm going to make that pivot, do an off season as a bodybuilder, and then go into 26, and then go into 2026 feeling prepared, feeling confident, and feeling like I've actually made the changes to do so. But between now to April, it's all about powerlifting. During this prep and during the next year and a half, 2 years, I'm going to bring you on that journey to see what it looks like when you actually commit to one goal and one goal only, as opposed to what I've been doing in the past, which is kind of power building, and see what type of changes that brings. It is Sunday, the 6th of October. I have got my new training plan, which I am going to be starting today, which is one of 2 training blocks, which is going to lead me into this next competition. And we're going to go through this vlog in a weekly style. We're going to take clips from my training sessions all the way across the week, talk through what I'm going through my head, how I'm approaching the sessions, so you can learn exactly how I'm going to approach each single week leading into this next competition. Because I do believe, especially with this first week, it does kind of set the tone for where you end the block, as well as where you end up in competition. So this is a very important week. This is going to be an important video where I'm going to go through my load selections for this next couple of training sessions, and you'll see what weights should look like moving when you are in week 1. All right, so I'm going to get to work. I've got some programming to do. I've got some actual client related work to get done, and then I have to prep a podcast for my own podcast, the Story Strengthcast, and then it's time for walk, breakfast, and gym. Today's training session has been interrupted for an emergency announcement. What happened, Emma? 25 kilo bike?
Yeah.
have to take care of the patient. Being a good boyfriend, fiance. Surely that can't be right. Bit of a weird session, of course, because I had to split it in two. So as I finished my squats, obviously Emma just texted me because she is upstairs in the gym, and she just like sent me a picture of the foot. I'll put the picture on the screen. It didn't look good. It didn't look good. So yeah, naturally enough, you know, being a caring fiance, brought her home, got her settled up with an ice pack, and made her some food, and then back in for the rest of my session. I have the benefit that I only live 10 minutes from this gym. I have the benefit that I have a car, and I have the benefit that it is a Sunday, so I don't really have much else to be doing. Now I am going home to watch Connor, who you will have seen in some of the latest vlogs, because he is competing again in the UK. So I'm not there for this competition, but I am going to be flying to his final one, which is in Poland at the start of next month. I travel so much in the month of September and in August as well as July that I just couldn't face getting on the airplane after only getting to Spain like last weekend. So give myself a break for the travel for a month, because I got heaps of travel next month, which is conveniently also going to be before my competition. But look, we'll navigate that when it comes up. So yeah, I'm gonna get home. I have to go to the shop, do a bit of a shop run, because we constantly need to stock up on food because we always run out of it. We never buy enough. But look, the way I look at it, more steps. You know, if there was one habit that I'd say you could do day to day that would massively transform how you feel day to day, in terms of your energy, in terms of your mood, in terms of your productivity, in terms of, geez, even how it can impact training performance, is to go out and go for a walk, right? Like, this is a habit that I've been doing for as long as I can remember, since I was living in my family home in Stamullen, to living in Dublin with Emma, to being in Canada, all through prep of course, and now. So
whether it was crappy rain in Ireland, whether it was heavy snow in Canada, blistering heat here, I've always maintained going out for a walk in the morning, because like I work a desk job, for lack of a better term, right? Online coaching is a desk job. I sit at my desk for between 8 to 10, sometimes 12 hours a day. And if I just decided to not get out, not make an effort to go out and move my body on days, like I do this on training days too, like training days, non-training days, it's something I do every single day. If I decided to do that, I would effectively be sedentary. And regardless of whether you train or not, they say if you are not doing activity outside of that, you are sedentary, and it leaves you susceptible to all of the ails and pails of somebody who leads a sedentary lifestyle. Because you can't just say that for 1 hour of the day you are somewhat active and that is going to eradicate all of the ills of being sedentary. It's not the case. Typically, and this is one thing I find from everybody that works with it, is when they are sedentary day to day and they just leave their training to do the work for them, a couple of things happen. They feel way stiffer. It takes them way longer to actually warm up when they get to the gym. Their calories on average are much lower. Their digestion is not as good. And all of these things, it makes it a lot harder for them to actually kind of maintain a good physique or build a good physique or train well. Like, even if it was just the case that you're like just thinking about body composition, right? If you consider the amount of energy that you burn day to day when most of your day is sedentary, maybe only 1 hour of that day you're actually doing any kind of movement, the amount of calories that you'll need to maintain the body weight are much lower than if you were regularly active throughout the day. So therefore, when you go out to eat, go to social occasions, you go on holidays, it's harder for you to maintain weight, harder for you to maintain your physique. And as a result, like even when you go through gaining phases, you are now eating less calories than somebody who has a little bit more activity interspersed with their day-to-day routine, right? Every day I'll come on this 30-minute walk, 30 to 45-minute walk. When I'm dieting, I will increase that up a little bit more. But even like day to day, when I maybe having like meals or something like that, have a really, really large meal, I'll go out for an additional walk. Like, could be 10 minutes, could be 15 minutes, just something small, right? Now, if you want to start off small, go with 30 minutes. If you think that you can't fit in a 30-minute walk every single day, even on training days, I question what you do with the rest of your time. I, on average, every night, I get my 8 hours sleep, right? I'm in bed for 9, have maybe 30 minutes or so of reading, and then my head will hit the pillow at 10, wake up at 6, okay? So I'm going to bed at 10 p.m, waking up at 6, I start my day, I do my work, I do my study. Before I have my breakfast, I come out for this 30-minute walk, all right? Then throughout the day, I'm probably sitting at my laptop for anywhere between 8 to 12 hours, depending on what type of day it is. That's a similar kind of day in terms of hours worked as somebody who has a desk job that you're working in the city or whatever, right? Now, obviously, you do have to kind of account for any commuting that you're doing, but how much of that commuting can you do on your feet? So one thing I used to do when I worked in town and I was working in my dad's bookshop is I would get the bus into town, but I get off a couple of stops early, okay? Because I knew I was going to be in my dad's shop for pretty much 8 hours of that day. I knew 2 hours of that day I was going to be on public transport. So to make up for some of that, I get the earlier bus in, which would give me 30 minutes extra time for me to actually get off the bus earlier and actually clock up some movement. Because if I didn't do that, well, then it just meant that maybe at lunch I might be able to get some steps in. Okay, that's depending on how much time I actually got for lunch that day, which can vary from person to person. Some people have demanding jobs where they get caught or held in for lunch, they get caught or get held in after work. So the best time that you realistically have to get some movement in is before you even start. So that's why I do it now, because my day, it has started. I've recorded a podcast this morning, I have done some check-ins, and I'm out for a stroll. And I know for the rest of the day, because it's Monday and it's a rest day, I'm pretty much going to be sitting at my desk for the majority of the day. By the time it gets to 5 or 6 p.m. in the evening time, I might want to go for a little bit of a stroll, but then again, I might not. But I'm making the effort right now to make sure I am getting some movement in before I start today, so that if I decide to not go on a walk later on because I feel too lazy, too tired, well then I've already given myself the advantage of having most of my steps done now. So if you are struggling with your weight, if you're struggling with maybe feeling stiff every time you go to the gym, if you are even not sleeping well at night, go out for a short walk in the morning, 30 minutes, right? If you can't spare 30 minutes for your goals, you probably don't deserve them anyway. Okay, we are back from that session, which was an okay session. I have to say my back after those deadlifts is feeling a little bit tender. Not in terms of like the muscle mass being tender, but I could feel on my second back offset as I was extending my hips, I think I overextended my lower back, because now that just has that kind of like, it's like a feeling that if I try to extend it now, it just feels like I know not muscle knots are not a thing, but if there was a way to describe it, that's what it feels like. It feels like just like real tightness there. And even getting out of the car there, I just felt very stiff. So look, not going to worry about it too much, because there's no point worrying about it. Like, it's either going to go away or it's going to stay. And if it stays, then I'm going to have to find a way to kind of work around it so I don't disrupt this prep. But I've had things like this happen in the past, and usually worrying only makes it worse. And as well, typically if it's not something that like was so bad that it really just like made you stop training completely, well then it's probably gonna be something that's gonna heal in like 24 or 48 hours. So I'll just soldier on. Instead of doing my 45-degree hip extension, then I just did some seated hamstring curls, because I still wanted to train my hamstrings, but maybe going for the hip extension option and loading it probably wouldn't have been the best option. So just call it there with the seated hamstring curls over the hip extensions, and also then just had good fun with the rest of the accessories. And give me 24, 48 hours. The next time I'm in the gym, when I'm doing my leg day on Thursday, which is going to be safety squat bars, some bench press, and then mostly legs, I should be completely fine by then. So I think the biggest lesson I've learned over the years is just in these situations when you do feel like something like this come on during a session, is to not catastrophize, not to like poke it and prod it and like, continually try to like move through it. Ideally, like, if it is something that has just caused a little bit of kind of like sensation, you could maybe err on the side of caution and just kind of like stop the exercise there. So, I continued on and did my second set because I kind of tested out the movement pattern, completely unloaded, didn't really feel anything. And then on my actual next back off set, I tightened my belt a little bit better and really focused on actually kind of using my legs, and I felt it way less. And then even throughout the rest of the session, didn't really feel it at all unless I like purposely tried to get into the position that caused some irritation. You can continue to train in these circumstances, like for sure. I think like most good physios will just tell you, yeah, look, do exactly what you can. Try not to deviate too much from your typical program. And if you can load the tissue at all, do it. Like at the end of the day, there's going to be a certain load, there's going to be a certain range of motion, there's going to be a certain tempo that you can tolerate through those tissues without pain causing any kind of sensation. Kind of similar to what I mentioned in the last video on deloads. You can make something relatively hard and challenging just by adjusting those things: the range of motion, the tempo, even the repetition scheme, without necessarily having to have like load be like the main driver of intensity within the actual workout. So yeah, that's just, Jesus Christ, I almost fucking knifed myself now. So that's just like a little kind of tidbit on my kind of thought process around these type of things. Because look, I've hurt my back before, and it hasn't been pretty in terms of like the mental effects of that and how long it would take to get back into gym. But since that really, really bad experience where the pain lasted for like weeks and weeks and weeks, the things I was doing then was just continually trying and seeing, like loading up to a heavy weight which I had no right loading, and of course it's going to feel some more pain. It was going to delay the recovery process, where when I backed off a little bit, kind of changed the kind of layout of my training a tiny bit to still be able to load the tissue, but be able to maybe focus on other things within my training program, focus on what I can do versus what I can't do, and give the area time. It has made it look better. So yeah, look, by the time we have my next video out, this will probably not be a thing. Similar to a few weeks ago, remember, similar to a couple of videos ago, I mentioned something about my pec and how it felt like a really sharp stabbing pain in my pec, and never happened before. And that happened mid-block. Literally, the end of that week, I was able to bench press again. I ended up hitting a close grip PB two weeks in a row at the end of my training block 2, just by backing off a tiny bit, giving the area a little bit of time for the irritation to dissipate, and then kind of gradually building up to weight, which I found quite tolerable, before actually saying, okay, now things are safe to move on from here and I can continue training. All right, it is Wednesday. I have a tiny bit of stiffness still from yesterday's session. I'm just going to show you exactly what type of range of motion I have and kind of where I'm feeling it, because this could add a little bit of spiciness to this December prep, all right? So, it's way too far away. All right, so standing upright, if I walk forward, I can feel a tiny bit of like achiness there. Kind of feels a tiny bit like a sprain. Stand to the side, right? And get into some hip hinges. So here, don't feel anything. I'm able to hinge, maybe it's a lot of my glutes, maybe it's a lot of my hamstrings. If I come up as if I'm doing a deadlift, and I thrust my hips forward, don't really feel anything. Might feel something under load tomorrow in terms of what I feel from a squat. Keeping everything neutral here. Feels fine. Lunge. That feels fine. That also feels fine. Bend to the side, feels fine. Bend to the side, feels fine. It's really hard to explain what type of feeling it is. It's like if I arch excessively, but mainly arching excessively through my lumbar. I don't know. Anyway, we're gonna rest in it and we're gonna see if I can do my leg session as normal tomorrow, because tomorrow I've got squats and I have split squats, bench, and a couple of other things. So yeah, sure, look, we'll see. We'll sleep on it, and let's hope that I'm right as rain tomorrow. Because yeah, I don't know. It doesn't seem to affect me when I'm doing like, you know, those kind of moving patterns there, but that's without any load. So look, we'll have to see. Positive being able to squat there, got up to 185 on the safety bar, and you know, it's always a little bit of a roll of the dice. Like, you know, if you're experiencing a little bit of pain, like I am, like I can still feel it. Like when I overextend my lower back, I can definitely still feel that pain there. But the way I would kind of approach that situation, right? If I was coming into this session and I was warming up and I was feeling going through like hip hinging, doing a squat pattern, doing a single leg squat pattern, if I was feeling some pain there, I would not load the movement. I'd probably just leave that area to rest for the day. But I went through my warm up and I loaded smartly, right? So I started off with just body weight. That felt good. Okay, let's go to 70, which is like usually my first, or go to the bar. Go to the bar. Did that, felt nothing. 70, felt nothing. Okay, cool. Feels just as light. Didn't feel hard at all. Just went straight up to 120 and then up to 170, right? Because I was pretty confident with how my back was feeling. Didn't really feel anything in regards to my back, like during the movement itself. But I was still a little bit more cautious with the actual loading that I did. Now, funny enough, I went to do leg extension after, and literally extending my knee, sharp pain into my right knee. So I've had to leave those off for the day. This is quite the video, right? Emma drops a plate in her foot. I start getting some weird back pain doing deadlift on Tuesday, and now my fucking knee's at me. So I skipped those, did some single leg hamstring curls because that didn't feel sore. And you know, if I can't do leg extensions, I'm gonna work my hamstrings, may as well. So now I'm on to my Smith Machine Bulgarians. On so far in warm, don't feel any kind of knee sensations or back sensations, because now I have to look out for both of those now. So yeah, let's see what we can get up to on these. Last week I did 2 plates per side, so let's see if I can do 2 plates per side for more reps than last week. All right, let's get into it.
So it's Friday morning now, and the pain that I got initially on Tuesday is completely gone. So should be able to go in today and train as per usual. Today I've got ODLs, so that's going to be a real test. Now, even though I trained legs yesterday and as well in my spine, I didn't have any sensations in my back at all. In fact, like the only sensation that popped up was some random one in my knee. And because I couldn't do leg extensions, but I was able to do those like leg presses with my feet at the very, very bottom of the foot plate. There's one thing that I guess, you learn with time and experience is like aches and pains are very much going to be a part of your training if you are looking to push yourself to like a higher level. Like if you're looking to push towards 100%, sometimes you may push a little bit beyond 100% and that's going to be a little bit more than your body can recover from, or you're just going to have some random spurt of pain pops up in training for no God-given reason. You could again be in like week one like I've been, and again using a load that is not really too challenging, and then all of a sudden you get pain, right? I think the main thing is like to not get freaked out about it, and when you initially get it, right, back off a little bit, back off a little bit on maybe that moving part that's causing pain. Okay, give the irritation a little bit of time to die down, and that could last like 24 hours, and after that, then assess. Okay, what's my tolerance? Okay, there's gonna be plenty of other movements that you can still do. Like if it's your back, you can still train your arms. You could probably do some leg movements. You could probably do something like a leg extension, a leg curl, adductor, abductor movements, a whole host of different movements you can do if like one area is injured. Like even Emma at the start of this video dropped a plate on her foot, right? And those type of injuries are probably the ones that are far more common than people actually like hurting themselves in the midst of actually weight trainings, like random things like that, like dropping plates in their feet. But she gave herself a little bit of time to rest, gave herself like 2 days or so of just resting, got herself to the gym to do some cardio so she could still do some movement because she couldn't do any type of walking. She wasn't able to do any type of like load through her foot. So went into the gym, did some cardio on the bike so she could still do some movement. The next day went and did some upper body because she could still train her upper body. And then the following day she went in and trained her legs and just assessed, okay, how much load can I actually kind of put through this foot? And she's able to get in a good leg session. All right. Similar to myself yesterday, assessed, what my tolerance was in regards to load on every single exercise I was doing there. Through the warm-ups, it's like, okay, do I feel any pain? No. Okay, good. Proceed with the increase or proceed with this set. Similar to like of the leg extension. Didn't freak out about the leg extension and having that pain because it was unusual pain. I just said, you know what, I'm not going to do leg extensions today, and I got to move on to some single leg hamstring curl. I may as well work on this muscle group considering it's a lagging muscle group and I don't feel any pain there. I was able to do my single leg Bulgarian split squats. I was able to do those leg press with my feet at the very, very bottom of the foot plate, getting a ton of knee flexion. So there is always something that you can do, and it's very much a case of just like accepting that like when pain does come in, that you may have to take a little bit of a back step from what initially causes pain, whether that's a certain lift, for a very, very small period of time. Once you're kind of smart about the situation, and as well, you're providing your body with like the optimal scenario to actually recover and get better. I've tailored my lifestyle to be so focused towards recovery from training. Like every single day, my hydration's on point. Like my sleep is in a great routine. I don't get overly stressed, and I've got good ways to manage stress. I have a pretty solid diet. You know, I pretty much every single day I'm hitting my calories at the very least, hitting my macronutrients pretty much most days, and in like a specific range as well. And then my micronutrients are always pretty much on point. So I have this like really, really good environment for me to recover well, and that allows me to get through these things a little bit quicker. But that can be the exact same for you. You just have to put some effort into kind of tailoring your lifestyle to that. And then again, if I haven't said already, do not catastrophize. Catastrophizing is probably the worst thing that you can do in these situations, because like if something has happened in the gym or such, like some unusual pain has popped up, like unless it's like a proper like a muscle has like tore off the bone, you know, it's probably going to be something that's going to recover quite quick. Like, you know, give it like 7 to 10 days, and that pain will probably have subsided, especially if you're giving the area time to heal. But giving the area time to heal, again, doesn't mean just doing nothing. I think doing nothing for that 7 to 10 day period is probably the worst thing you can do for your recovery, because you have all these different muscle groups which you can still train and keep yourself somewhat sane. Because if all you're doing is sitting at home thinking about resting, recovering, and thinking about like, oh, I want to get back to the gym, and you know, you're also then thinking about pain and trying to do everything you can to avoid that pain, I think it just makes things worse for you. So yeah, I'm not a physio, but this is like my experience, is my kind of general approach to it, and yeah, hopefully you find it useful. But anyway, this video has been way too long for week 1, but today I'm gonna start off a new video because I'm doing something unusual today, something I haven't done before, which you're gonna see in the next video. So yeah, hopefully this was something useful. Hopefully week 2 is a little less rocky than week 1 has been. And if this is the start, what's it gonna be like by the time we get to week 8? Anyway, that's it. Talk soon.